Hello and welcome to our webinar on release 7.4 for our FONtevo ICT systems. My name is Heidi Maria Eggerstedt. I'm the product marketing manager for the FONtevo products, and next to me is Detlef Lunge, our product owner for the FONtevo ICT systems. Well, let's see what kind of news do you have for us today, Detlef?
Yeah, today we do not have a new hardware, although we have a system here. Today we are talking about the inner values of the system because we have increased this quite a lot. Besides some bug fixes as we always do and a few minor improvements, we have two really nice topics for this new version. One of it is maximum VoIP, so we have increased the number of channels dramatically. And we have very good news in terms of auto provisioning, so that means the systems are growing in terms of voice over IP. But let's get into details. The first topic is maximum VoIP. As you can see, 32 was the past, 80 is the future. This is quite a nice improvement. That was the target we had. The target was the expansion of the possibilities around voice over IP. Especially the 5500 we have always announced as VoIP appliance, not as a PBX system in a traditional way. And this becomes much more true now with this improvements we are now offering. The idea was to significantly increase the number of VoIP channels in these kind of systems. How we have done this? First of all, the first step we have already made last year to get this systems into VoIP appliance, which means we have made a second Ethernet interface with our net module, which we are offering since the beginning of last year, which is offering two different networks in the system so that we can divide data and voice, or we can get access to VoIP providers who need a fixed IP address and have another IP internally. What we have done now is we have thought about, do we always need everything in the system and to have everything available, or do we need only a few things here and there, and so that we can adapt to the particular demands which we have at the moment with the system. So if something is at the moment not really needed, let's switch it off and take this performance for VoIP channels. That's what we have done. So our idea was a reallocation of processor performance to free the processor for VoIP channels. So we have, up to now, we have used a big part of the performance for echo cancelling, for instance, for the modules. If we have analog interfaces or S0, UP0 interfaces, they always need a lot of performance for this echo cancelling, for other things. So that means this orange portion of the pie was used for everything else but for VoIP. And the other problem was complex codecs, like for instance ILBC, which is not used that often, but needs an awful lot of performance per channel. So our idea was to concentrate on important codecs like G711 and use less modules in the system. This always gives us the possibility to increase the number of VoIP channels by double, just double it, which is already quite a good increase. And even if you have it as a complete pure VoIP system, we can go up to 80 channels. So that means it's much more a VoIP system comparing to the status we had before.
Okay, so but in case I have already a few models already integrated in my ICT system, such as the compact 5500, could I use also the VoIP licenses in this case?
You can, yes, definitely. As you can see here, these are the settings you would do in the system if you use the web UI for configuration. To set up these new possibilities, we have prepared 5 presets you can choose. And you can see, first of all, the classic mode. This is what you have at the moment if you use the firmware 7.2. with 5 modules. There we have 32 channels. That's the maximum we can offer currently. But if you go already to the first new preset, which is mixed, you still have 5 modules but less codecs. There we already can go to double the number of channels, 64 channels already together with 5 modules. If you need more, then we can go up to the other presets, but we still can use one module, for instance, and it gives you the possibility to go up to 72 channels. This is something where you have to decide what you need. And the last preset is maximum VoIP, pure VoIP system with 80 channels. Here you cannot use a module, but this is a system which is used purely with VoIP, with voice, with IP channels. Yeah, so you can adapt. You can use as much channels as you want, but you have to adapt the number of modules.
Okay, I see.
The same is with a 5200. As this has a little smaller processor, here we can only go up to 32 channels. So therefore we only have 3 predefined presets, which we can use. Yeah, makes it a little bit easier. But it's an improvement. From 16, which we had before, now to 32 channels.
Okay.
Yeah, this gives you much more flexibility because now much more growth is possible. You can use this system in much bigger setups because the problem before was if you had used many channels for external connection to the trunk line, and a few channels for voicemail, fax, then there were not enough channels available for internal, for the terminals. So therefore, these new possibilities give you much more internal subscribers you can use. So that as well gives you the possibility to make much more simultaneous calls. So for instance, with the 5500, now you can do 40 simultaneous calls at the same time, which gives you much more traffic. So this is interesting for call centers, for sales-oriented companies where you have a lot of calls from people ordering, or lawyers, companies like this. So it is increasing, it's really increasing the possibilities of the system. And especially with the 5500, we now have a real VoIP appliance. It's really attractive as a pure VoIP system with 80 channels. You can do really big setup. And nowadays, this becomes as an alternative to our big commander systems in terms of voice over IP, because it has the second Ethernet interface, which is, by the way, we have got a few questions regarding this. It's not possible with the commander systems due to system limitations. We cannot do it, unfortunately. So if somebody needs the second Ethernet interface, Compact 5500 is the choice. And you have, in the meantime, more channels in the system, up to 80. And it's quite compact, especially if you have a pure VoIP system, then the 2 height units are really an advantage because it does not need that much space in the rack. But nevertheless, the commander system still is interesting because it has more external channels, 38 channels as a maximum. And if you need more traditional internal subscribers, like for instance 64 analog interfaces, then the commander system still is the choice. So that means they both have their field where they can be used and where they make sense. Exciting as well are the new possibilities around auto-provisioning, extremely simple setup of phones, and the broad selection of possible terminals, now with alternative vendors, third-party vendors. But this we will touch a little bit later, a few slides later. Yeah, what are the requirements if you want to use this VoIP channel extension? First of all, the systems are 5200 rack or wall-mounted version and 5500R. You will need the new firmware, the 7.4a, and you need some licenses. These are the same licenses as you have used already in the past. With the 5200, you have 4 channels as a basic setup if you purchase the system. And the expansions do have 4 IP channels as well. And you can go up to from 4 to 8 to 12 and so on up to 32, which means 7 possible releases. But you have, as we have already mentioned earlier, you have to observe the number of modules. Maybe if you have an existing system, you have to take out 1 or 2 modules to make this possible. Yeah, same with the 5500. Here you have 8 channels as a basic setup, and the expansions do have 8 channels as well. Here you can have up to 9 release codes to achieve 80 channels. Yeah, that's maximum VoIP. And yeah, as I already mentioned, there's another very nice improvement, which is auto provisioning.
Okay, and I have also one question concerning the auto provisioning, because as far as I know, it already works with the third-party devices such as Snom and Yearling, for instance. So what is new in the 7.4?
Yeah, you're right. We already had auto provisioning in the last version, version 7.2, but this was just the beginning, the start, the first step. We now have improved this very much, and I think it's quite interesting. The idea was we wanted to have a really simple setup process, zero touch, so to say, process to get IP phones working together with our ICT systems. Therefore, okay, we had the step 1 in version 7.2. This is what you just have touched. But the idea was to make the installation even more easy, faster. And a better integration of third-party phones made by other vendors. So the solution for step 2 was that we have integrated individual templates for the vendors. So now we have predefined configuration files for all vendors, for all third-party telephones. This makes it very easy because you don't have to take care, you don't have to hit manuals and all this stuff. And it's variable and automated. Automated is the step to success because the PBX now fills in what is necessary.
Okay.
So that means what is new? First of all, we have automatic locating of the system. So the telephone sends a broadcast, finds the system. The system and the telephone are exchanging certificates, which means they both can switch over into the safe mode for the configuration and for the provisioning. Then you can select the device type in the system. You have to define this MAC address should become this subscriber with this subscriber number. And now it is interesting because this is what makes it easy. There are placeholders in the templates. And these placeholders will be, the data will be filled in by the PBX itself. That means you do not have, as it was at the moment, you do not have to prepare a configuration file for each device separately and fill it. This now is done by the PBX. And there is something special for our D series, which we have introduced just recently. We have made an own template for this telephones as well. But we have included Lua scripts into this template. This is very nice because now you can have one key for a certain function and you can use this single key for switching it on and switching it off. You don't need 2 keys anymore. And the interesting thing is the system provides the state. That means you push the button once to switch on, for instance, a call forwarding. You get back from the PBX the state, the status, and the LED will go on. You push it the second time and switch off the function and the LED will go off. So that means it's working like it is working on our system telephones. Quite nice. And this is available for our D series, making this attractive series of phones even more attractive and even more system adapted.
Okay. So, well, I think auto provisioning is very interesting for resellers because it saves a lot of time and therefore a lot of money.
Yeah, okay. That's right. It makes it's extremely easy to set up the phones.
And one more question: does this also apply to the Comfortable IP series, such as the 3600 IP?
This was the basic idea behind it, because our existing IP system telephones had this right from the beginning. So very early, in a very early stage, they have got these possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And the other phones, the standard IP phones, had always a little disadvantages because they do not have this kind of functionality. So therefore, we have adapted this to this kind of phones to make it as easy as with a system phone, so that you have much more flexibility to attach other phones to the phone to the system.
I see. So they were the kind of role models for this auto provisioning.
That's it, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And here, as you can see here in the web UI of the system, you can see how you can choose which kind of terminal you want to attach, and you will get automatically the correct template for this kind of device. Yeah, the advantages is a perfect system integration, because with auto provisioning with this kind of templates you have an extremely simple setup which goes very fast. The function keys, LEDs for the important system functions are a great benefit, because that means that non-system phones are acting similar to a system phone, so they are a semi-system phone, so to say. And especially the D series has this certain extra with this Lua scripts, and it gives you much more flexibility. So if you are an Auerswald dealer, the D series now is very well integrated. It is already very attractive right from the beginning, but it's even more attractive now. And if the customer wants to have a phone from another vendor, now it's very easy to attach this. You do not have to read manuals and study other vendors' manuals. It's simply you use the right template and the configuration is done in a second. Mm-hmm. Interesting as well is something we have experienced in the last weeks. Many people are switching back from their cloud PBX to an in-house system. And they already have phones. Like for instance, they have already 20 phones from another vendor available in their office. They do not want to throw them away. So what you can do is offer a PBX to them. Keep your phones, take our PBX, and for you it's very easy to attach these phones to our system. It gives you new possibilities. Mm-hmm. And if you are a dealer selling other phones, just continue the sales of your current phone vendor, but we are offering you an attractive system to go with them. Mm-hmm. As the configuration, the provisioning is very easy. Even for you, it's very nice and easy and flexible to attach our system to the phones you are currently selling.
Okay. So I think in this context, it's worth mentioning that we offer certain kind of FAQ videos on YouTube, which explains to you step by step how to do the provisioning with Auerswald terminals, as well as with third-party terminals such as Yearlink or Snob.
Yeah, what are the requirements if you want to use this auto provisioning? First of all, you need one of our current systems, the 4000, 5000, 5200, 5500 of the compact series, or the Commander 6000. They have this functionality as well. The firmware 7.4a is necessary, and the phones which are interesting to use this are the FONtevo D series, naturally. And terminals from Yearlink, Snom, Polycom and more are possible, because we have a standard template for standard zip phones, and this can be extended as well. And you would need a license, the zip comfort package brand plus because we have added brands like Yearling Storm. That's the idea behind the name. And there is a voucher, a release for every system separately. This kind of license you do not have to purchase if you are using a FONtevo D series. Naturally, this is already included if you start to configure a FONtevo D series. You don't have to purchase this in that case.
Okay, so thank you. And but at the beginning you mentioned that you have even more news for us besides max VoIP and order provisioning. Is there anything more you have for us?
Yeah, we just recently, these are a few improvements. We just recently introduced our fixed mobile conversions functionality with our app, the mobile business app. And now we have extended the functionality by offering the possibility that you have busy lamps on our FONtevo system phones showing the status of the mobile phone. So now if you make a call using your mobile phone, you will see that the LED of the system phone will be lighted on so that anyone can see that you are doing a phone call. And now we have a switching between the parallel call mode and the FMC mode. So now it's much easier to adapt to the individual usage of the fixed mobile conversion functionality. What I have to mention is that there will be an update of the app as well. If you are using version 7.4 and this extended functionality, you will need an update which will be available in the app stores. We have expanded our API for the attach to third-party applications, mainly around hotel, which means now we have a blocking of room-to-room calls, as we call it the spring break function. This was a recommendation from Greece because sometimes in spring also school classes are going to make party in a hotel, and yeah, so we block the room-to-room calls so that they can only call the reception and do not wake up all the others in the hotel in the night. And we have a logging of the wake-up calls now that you can show to their customers, we have done the wake-up call, you have not, make yourself ready, and that's it. And we have made a solution for a problem we had, which was a little bit nasty sometimes. It was a problem after update. You still had the old web pages of our web UI in the cache of the browser, and so therefore the configuration sometimes went a little bit crazy. So now this is sometimes it has blocked web pages. So there's a solution now for this. We had quite some calls in our support regarding this small problem. Yeah, that are the news besides the two main topics. So this is version 7.4.
Yeah, maybe one last question that should be of very important interest is when will be the firmware 7.4 available?
Yeah, quite soon. It will become available next week, which means July the 3rd.
Okay, so, well, then I think we're pretty much done with our little webinar. In case you have any questions, you can refer to webinars@fontevo.com. And of course, we will also have this video on our YouTube channel, our FONtevo YouTube channel. And as I mentioned before, there are also some FAQ videos to help you with the order provisioning. And well, then I would say thanks for joining.
And I wish you a lot of success with the new version and make good business out of the new possibilities.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.